What up, K-Rugs, the sober dog, coming at you. Question I've gotten from a lot of people recently and just in general is, what is it like to withdraw or detox in jail or prison? So that's what I'm going to talk about today. Just want to say thank you to everyone out there who's watching this, who's liked Soberdogs video, who's subscribed, who follows me on any platform, on any social media. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the support and the love. All right, so let's get right into it. What is it like to detox or withdraw in jail and prison? I have detoxed twice in jail right from the street. So having a full-blown addiction on the street, getting arrested and going into jail. And I've detoxed a couple times in prison from my addiction in prison. So that was a little bit different. It wasn't as extreme, but still sucked. So when I got arrested the first time, they brought me to the local little precinct that I got arrested in, and I was a disaster. I hadn't eaten in days. I hadn't really had much to drink. It was just a mess. So the cop that was working was really nice. He gave me some crackers, some water, put me in a cell, and I just laid there for hours on end. Went in front of the judge, got shipped downtown to the county jail, and in the county jail, the nurses ask you questions. You got to do the whole intake process. I was a zombie. But now this is only about 18 to 20 hours after my last use, so it sucked, but it's not at its peak yet. Do the intake, get my jumpsuit, give them fingerprints, all that stuff. They search you, blah, blah, blah. So I sat with the nurse, and she asked you all the questions. What drugs are you coming off of? How much were you using? They're trying to gauge where to put you, how much they need to monitor you, everything like that. And I told her the truth, coming off of heroin, cocaine. I wasn't a daily drinker, but I drank a lot, alcohol, and some benzos, Xanax, things like that. Now, heroin, cocaine, and most other drug withdrawal is usually not lethal. You pretty much won't die from heroin withdrawal or cocaine withdrawal. There's an old joke, saying, whatever you want to call it. You could have 10 heroin addicts and you lock them in one room, and 10 alcoholics and lock them in another room. What's going to happen if you come back in 5 days? And the saying goes, in the first room, you're going to have 10 pissed off heroin addicts going through detox. And the other room, you're going to have 5 pissed off alcoholics and 5 dead alcoholics. Because alcohol detox is lethal in many cases. So is benzo detox, can be, and go into seizures. So based on the answers you give the nurse is kind of how they monitor you. And I told her I wasn't a daily drinker, but I drank, so I didn't have to go in the alcohol detox unit, but they put me in the medical unit in the detox wing, which basically means we're putting your ass in a cell. We're going to come check on you a couple times a day. Besides that, have fun the next 5 days. Puke, shit your brains out. Deal with it, It sucked, and that's what it was. They put me in this unit. The next 5 days were like half of a dream state, half of a real state, because it was just like 16 to 18 hours of sleep when I could. When I did get up, it was going to the bathroom, throwing up, sucking down water as much as I could because I was so dehydrated. My body's kicking my ass, trying to recoup itself and get back to a normal state. Sometimes I could sleep, sometimes I couldn't. Now, this cell is about half the size of a normal cell. It's just a bed and a toilet, and it's in the medical unit. It's not meant to be long-term. People who only stay in these cells for, a couple nights if they got the flu or whatever. And there's nothing to do. You can't get out of your cell. There's plastic coating on the metal bars to help clean up all the throw up and everything, because that's what happens in most of these cells. And it was just a blur of misery. Just fatigue, diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, aches down to parts of my bones and body that I never knew could ache before. The depression's kicking in too, of where I am in jail. Then when I do get up and I might be feeling a tiny bit better, there's nothing to do. It's not like I can go in the other room and watch TV. So you just sit there and you got to deal with everything and all the thoughts. It sucks. 4 times a day, the nurse comes to your cell. If you take regular medication, they give you your medication. And then they ask you, you're allowed to get Tylenol or Advil for the pain, like the physical pain. And then Imodium for, the diarrhea and the upset stomach. And then if you're detoxing from benzos, Ativan, Klonopin, Valium, Xanax, I think I'm missing one, but those are the main ones. What they did do, I don't know if they still do it, is they would give you a very small amount of benzos and taper you down for like a week. So the first day you came in, they'd give you maybe 2 milligrams, and then the next day 1.5, 1, so on, down to nothing for a week. Because as I said earlier, benzo withdrawal you can go into comas, things like that. I was getting that, which definitely helped with the withdrawal, but barely put a dent in it. And then I'd get my Tylenol and Imodium, and that's it. And then she makes sure you're not dead, and then they leave. They go to the next cell, and that's it. That is, from all the research I've done and the people I've talked to, that is pretty much how detox goes at most jails around the country. It's kind of like tough luck, which I don't necessarily blame them. It's kind of like I was the one who made these choices, so now I got to deal with the repercussions. And that's what it is. Now, if you're coming off a heavy amount of benzos or a heavy amount of alcohol, a daily heavy amount of alcohol, there's cells that were the same as ours, but in a different area, and they were set up in like a half stop sign type of thing. So like 2 cells diagonal and 2 cells this way. So, there was like a middle area. Now, inside the cells are the same thing, and the nurse comes by in the same situation. The only difference is in the front, outside all the cells right there that can see into everything, is a table and a guard. And there's a guard station there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That is because people that are coming off high doses of alcohol, high levels of alcohol or benzos and some other, drugs here and there, prescription meds and stuff, can go into, serious life-threatening detox out of the blue. They could be sleeping and go into an alcohol withdrawal out of the blue and have, liver shutdown, body failure, things like that. So that guard's there 24/7, watches everybody, and if anybody looks like they're gonna go into whatever, convulsions or die or anything, he obviously calls the nurse. With heroin, cocaine, meth, things like that, they don't have a 24/7 guard. They put you in the cells in the corner where the guards come around every 10 minutes, just walk by, make sure you're alive, and keep moving on. So that's pretty much how it is. It sucks. After 5 days, they came to my cell, said, "You ready to go upstairs?" Honestly, I thought this was jail. I'd never been to jail before. I thought that little cell I was in was jail. That's how it was going to be. I was dead wrong, and thank God I was, because that would have been miserable. That would have been worse than solitary. Then they moved me upstairs to a unit with 50 other guys in a regular unit. I still got my own cell and stuff, but during the day you can come out and play cards, watch TV, things like that. I went right up to my cell, threw my mattress down, didn't even make my bed or anything, didn't clean the cell or anything, laid on that bed and didn't get up for 3 days. On the 3rd day, the guard actually woke me up and said, "You better get up and eat something, because if you don't, I got to put it in my report that you stopped eating for 3 days, and then they're going to come in here and forcefully take you out and put a feeding tube in you." I didn't want that to happen, so I went down, I ate some food in front of him. He saw that I ate, I went right back to bed. The next day, that same guard came, opened my cell door, and basically laid into me. What's going on with you, kid? What is the deal? Well, I know you're detoxing, but this is like your 10th day here. Get up, walk around, you'll feel better, and you gotta clean the cell up. There's throw up in the middle of the fucking floor, and I know that's from you. Clean this shit up, get up, you'll feel better. He laid into me, and I was pissed. Ironically, that ended up being probably one of the coolest guards the entire time I was in. I ended up talking to him. He was around my age, and he was actually very cool to all the guys and very supportive after that. But he laid into me, and I'm glad he did, because I finally got up, went down, watched a little TV, walked around a little bit, and I did feel better, getting food in me and stuff. Because when you're going through that state, you don't want to eat, but it's like when you have the flu. You're not hungry, but you know that if you have liquids and fluids and some food, you're going to feel better. It's going to give you energy, but you just can't stomach it. So I eventually did. That was where the physical stuff stopped. The next 3 weeks were the mental withdrawal. Now, this is a combination of mental withdrawal and depression from being in jail. You know, I just got arrested on multiple felony charges. I'm in jail for the first time. I don't know anybody. I don't know this, you know, I'm not jail smart because I've never been in, so I don't know who's who, what gangs, what, who's going to attack me. I'm going through depression. I'm facing all these felonies, and I'm coming off all the drugs. So all that the next 3 weeks just crushed me. I was like just a shell of a human. Physically, I started to feel a little better, but mentally, I was just a mess of anxiety. I couldn't hold a conversation with anybody. I couldn't play cards. I tried doing push-ups, lasted 2 push-ups. I just was just a mess. And I know a lot of that is my brain trying to work without drugs, because for the previous, 3 years, it was heroin and cocaine 5 to 6 times a day, every day. The previous 4 to 5 years prior to that was heroin, cocaine, and oxy, maybe once a day, or at least every other day, definitely for sure. So my brain was like a new state for the first time. After about a month total, finally I started to feel a tiny bit normal. And I went out and I played basketball with a couple of guys, and I actually felt really good after sweating and playing basketball. And then the mental started to fade, and I'd say over the next 2 weeks, all the actual heroin symptoms were faded. Now, still depression, extreme depression and anxiety from being in jail, but that's different. So the second time that I got arrested from the street, pretty much the same situation, except it was a little bit easier because I knew what to expect. They didn't even bother throwing me in the medical unit that time. They just threw me in a regular cell and said, detox, have fun. So that one was just like kind of whatever. But that time I'd say everything lasted maybe 2.5 weeks, and then it got better. And because I kind of knew what to expect and had just done 3.5 years in prison, I was a little bit more comfortable, unfortunately, which isn't a good thing, but it is what it is.